We are live now. We can start.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dharitri Bora, your host for today's session. Greeting you all a very warm welcome. I am a student of Guwahati University doing my Masters in Women's Studies, bringing you all a very new educational session of Enajori with our guest, Apoorwa Hooda ma'am. Today, Apoorwa Hooda ma'am will talk about the facilitation of exchange programs between India and Finland. Before starting our session, I would like to say a few words about Enajori. Enajori is a non-profitable organization which was founded on 2018 by our founder Milinda Sir. The term Enajori means a bond of love. It signifies unconditional love. Enajori engages and promotes various initiatives that are looking forward to bring a social change. It's helping many people in building their leadership qualities. Enajori also engages in many fields activities like educating people about gender and sexuality, spreading awareness about gender, working with arts and craft, animal welfare, to protect environment and old people shelter houses, and many more. Now let me introduce you all our guest of today's session, Apoorwa Hooda ma'am. Apoorwa ma'am is an educator and researcher interested in educational changes, learning design, STEAM education, and education collaborations between India and Finland. Now let's know more about Finland and their educational systems from Ma'am Apoorwa. Ma'am, I would like to hand over the session to you. Thank you and welcome to Enajori.
Thank you, Dharitri. Thanks a lot for that warm welcome and your nice, kind words. I'll just say a bit about myself. I'm Apoorwa. I moved.
Ma'am, your voice is cutting off. Can you stop the video and open the audio only?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah. Is it better now?
Yes.
I can also check my internet connection if that's a problem. Okay, so anyways, do you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm Apoorwa. I studied here in Finland from 2019 to 2021, and now I work here as a university teacher at the same university that I studied at. And we work with, the kind of work that I do is also to do with bringing researchers in India and Finland together. So it's an apt topic for what I do and what I'm interested in. My research is in developing schools as learning organizations. So we do participatory action research with teachers, where the teachers themselves plan the intervention in the schools with us, and then the research is about developing the whole schools, identifying the gaps, and then identifying what are the areas of improvement in the schools, and then we, together with the teachers and their parents and the students and the school principals, we run interventions in schools. That's my personal research. That's about me. My connection to the Northeast, maybe I lived in Arunachal Pradesh and taught in a school from 2015 to 2017. And so the Northeast is very close to my heart, and every year I keep going back to one or the other states there. So yeah, and to Enajori also, lovely to see you all once in a while, and happy to contribute also. Should I share my screen and share a bit of what kind of opportunities there are for students and for employment in Finland for Indians and vice versa?
Yes, you can share the screen.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe just starting with Finland. It's a country in Northern Europe. It's one of the Nordic countries, along with Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, and Estonia, and it neighbors with Sweden and Norway and Russia on the other side. Small country, small population, 5.5 million people, which is 55 lakh people, which is 1/4 of Delhi's population, so very little. It also has a lot of lakes, 188,000 lakes, which freeze in the winter. So even if you look at the map, there's a lot of water in between the land, which is the lakes. We have all 4 seasons here. You experience the summer, you experience the autumn, the yellowing of leaves, and it's beautiful in the autumn. And then we have a long winter, and then the spring where the leaves come to start coming back. The very typically Finnish traditions are sauna, where people take a steam bath, and ice swimming, where in the winter in the frozen lakes, people dig a hole and like to swim, or more like a quick dip. I don't think they can swim. And then there's skiing, a lot of winter sports, and you find a lot of people fishing here and there. That's about Finland. And at any point, please feel free to stop and ask questions, and ask me to pause if you don't understand anything or if you want me to repeat. So please feel free to unmute your mics and ask, or in chat or something.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so starting with studying in Finland, there are 2 different, and when I say study, I mean, I'm talking about the higher education in Finland. There are 2 different kinds of universities. There are the universities that do academia and research. They're called universities. In Finnish, it's a different name. Then there are universities of applied sciences, which are more like vocational institutions, so kind of like polytechnics, which is also a very popular study destination in Finland. A lot of students choose to study, almost half the students choose to study in the polytechnics. The facilities are very well developed, and students get jobs faster and get well-paid jobs. So these are the 2 different kinds of universities that can be applied for. And there are about 46 universities in total, out of which 13 function under the Ministry of Education and Culture, so sort of recognized public universities. These are the 13 that you see on the right side: Helsinki, Aalto, Lappeenranta. These are from the south of Finland, then Oulu, Tampere, Turku, Vaasa, Jyväskylä, kind of middle Finland, and then eastern Finland, slightly north and east. Majority of the programs in Finnish universities have Finnish as the language of instruction, and local students studying here, but there are some programs in English for international students. There are some bachelor's programs, master's programs, and doctoral studies, of course. And there are also some short diploma programs for international students. Finland does not believe in ranking their universities or schools, because it's a system that believes in equality and equity. So if there are no internal rankings of Finnish universities, but these are the ones that you see on the right, these are the world rankings that you would find on platforms like Times Higher Education or World Ranking. What kind of disciplines or subjects do students like to study or come here to study? Mostly IT, business, education is very popular, nursing, and sports. Finland has one of its kind sports faculty, and also one of its kind educational faculty that is very, very popular among students to study, amongst international students to study, and also local students, actually. And the new academic session mostly starts in the autumn, which is August. And in some cases or some universities, there are some programs that also begin in January in the spring, but that is quite rare. So August is the new academic sessions. If there are students who are planning to apply, they can start looking for applications in November, and mostly the deadlines come in January, in the beginning of January. So I think December is mostly the period when you're busy applying, and most of them require at least an English language certification. So you should start preparing your application way ahead, even if the deadline is in January. For doctoral studies, there are always two different periods of application. There's one period in April and then one period in September. So if you apply in April, you begin your studies in August. If you apply in September, you begin your studies in January. That's the case with most universities. And of course, these things also differ from university to university. This is just a general broad guideline. All the applications to all the universities and all the programs happen through one centralized platform, which is the studyinfo.fi. Opintopolku.fi in English is studyinfo.fi. So that's the platform where you can look at whatever courses and programs are available. You'll see at least 1,000 master's programs, but most of them will be in Finnish. So you can choose the language as English, and then it'll show you what kind of programs are available in English for international students. Here's some websites that can help you find the right university and the right study program, and also see the rankings of which universities are better ranked, in which you should also always look at not just the overall rankings, but also the subject-wise rankings. If you want to study IT, where is that university ranked in the IT sector itself? So apart from studying, there are also opportunities to visit Finland and do either short-term educational visits or short-term diploma or certificate courses that are available. There are also courses available online, like the MOOCs, if you want to learn more about Finnish education, get some certification that you have studied Finnish education system. That's also a possibility if you can't afford to travel all the way. So these are some of the organizations that organize these short visits. Most of them are self-paid. If you can look for scholarships, but there are very, very limited scholarships, and they are provided through these organizations themselves. There's Council for Creative Education, there's EduCluster Finland, HVA Plus Global Visit EduFin. They organize week-long visits for you to check out the Finnish schools, what's happening in the schools and universities, or they organize longer programs for you, longer learning programs for you if you want to learn more about the Finnish education system, and if you also want to develop your own skills in teaching and learning, or any other related skills. And the last one is there are 5 different MOOCs. That's the website of my own university, and they have developed 5 different MOOCs on Finnish education system, each one on a different level of education. You can complete the one that's of your interest if you're interested in early childhood education or educational leadership or basic primary education or upper secondary education. All of them have insights from the Finnish schools and universities, and also some interviews with students and teachers so you get to hear firsthand from their experiences. Working in Finland, for international residents or expats or immigrants or foreigners, or however people like to call them differently, there are unfortunately very limited opportunities, and there are cases where if they were to go back to their own countries, they would be qualified PhD researchers, but when they come to Finland, they're driving taxis. So there is a dearth of jobs for qualified immigrants, and a lot of the major reason behind it is the language, that most of the jobs require people to speak Finnish. But of course, there are some sectors where you don't need Finnish that much, and the opportunities is more. For example, the IT sector, there are a lot of jobs for immigrants. The early childhood care and education sector needs a lot of teachers, and Finland has a dearth of teachers in the ECEC, in the kindergartens. So kindergarten teachers is a popular profession. And then of course people work for food delivery and do cleaning work as well. There are also positions and opportunities for researchers and PhD scholars. A lot of master's students end up staying back and enroll in their PhDs. The grant system is very competitive for PhDs or doctoral studies. You always have to apply for grants, but if you are funded and taken care of, it's almost like a job. And there are also universities that invite international researchers to as for a 1 year period or 2 years period or 6 months period. So you can work as a researcher or a research assistant or a research associate with some of the professors at the university. So that's also some of the popular works that international residents do. And then there is seasonal work. That mostly happens in the summer with agriculture and berry picking. You can also look for a different kind of a residence permit for that. And a lot of people also end up starting their own companies and becoming entrepreneurs when they come here, sometimes because of course, because they want to be entrepreneurs, but sometimes also just that they're not able to find jobs, and this can be the only option for them, and then they end up running very successful companies. The screenshot at the bottom is just a screenshot from a website where you can find jobs, and this is the first thing that it shows. If you look at English jobs for English speaking population in Finland, this is what it shows. So you can kind of get an idea of what kind of jobs are available and popular. Also some useful links for job finders. There is the Finnish immigration website, which is the Migri, the second one. And yeah, there are websites especially for foreigners working in Finland and in general to find jobs if somebody is interested. For researchers and academics, there are some networks, some global networks, and one of them I am a part of. So one is the Nordic Center in India. It's a center that runs in India, and it collaborates with a lot of Nordic universities, including in Finland, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. So there are opportunities for researcher exchange or exchange of academics. They also organize a lot of webinars. So if you are a researcher, you can reach out to them and they can either invite you to webinars, so you have a chance to present your work, or listen to other academics' work and maybe co-develop a research project with academics in Finland. The second one, the Global Innovation Network for Teaching and Learning, is what I work for, and we also do, for us, it's not the Nordics, but just Finland and India. There are researcher collaborations and researchers coming up with joint courses, joint degree programs. That's a bit ambitious and we haven't reached there, but that is the idea, that they would at some point also come up with joint degree programs between a university in India and a university in Finland. But so far it's been a researcher collaboration, and there are some institutional collaborations between a university in India and a university in Finland also. Then the third one is specific to technology. The second one is specific to teaching and learning, and the third one is specific to technology. So there are universities in Finland that are collaborating with the IITs in India and doing collaborative work in technology sector and creating research for technology. Then there is Finnish university partnerships. It's called UNIPIT. They also invite a lot of international scholars to do guest lectures and conduct research together with them. So if you're a researcher, you can check out these websites and these networks. And also, if you want to collect your data in Finland, some of these websites can, depending on what sector you work in, some of these websites can help you find the right people to connect with. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Thank you, ma'am, for giving such a nice outlook for everyone who wants to study abroad or want to study in Finland. So I have a question about what how the students who want to study in Finland, how they should prepare themselves for the examinations or entrance examinations.
Right. So at bachelor's level, there are entrance examination, but at master level, there are no entrance examinations. They ask for a research proposal, and they ask for some kind of a statement of purpose, why you want to join the university and why you're interested and what kind of research that you want to do. Because at master levels already students are expected to be researchers. So conduct serious research with authentic research methodology. So how you can prepare is, if you're preparing for a master's degree, start identifying the courses or programs and the universities that you're applying for. Look for what deadlines they have, and then create a table for yourself and look at every program has very different requirements. So just in the table, put the deadline and then what are the requirements of that particular university, what kind of documents you need to collect, are you eligible, do they ask for, some of them also ask for a thesis in your bachelor. So if you don't have a thesis in your bachelor's, maybe you're not eligible. So checking for eligibility, deadlines, and what documents are required, and then start preparing your statement of purpose and research proposal. And then they have, after you do that, they have some kind of a written assignment, which is also based on reading academic papers and answering questions based on those academic papers. So you have to have a strong academic grounding. And then there is an interview. So it's a 3-part process: the basic application with the cover letter and research proposal, then an assignment, a take-home assignment, then an interview. And in the interview also, they ask you a lot of academic reading and writing questions. How do you go about writing academic papers? What kind of sources? How do you look for authentic sources? These kind of questions. So yeah, if you're preparing for masters, that's the idea. But if you're preparing for bachelor's, it's a completely different system. Most bachelor's students come from within Finland. There are fewer bachelor's degrees for international students, but their entrance exams are very different depending on what discipline you're applying for. So you really have to check out the website and check out what is the kind of entrance examination. And the websites also have information on how you can prepare for the entrance exams. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Then do the universities have any kind of scholarships for the students who are from different countries, so that for those students who are financially not stable or kind of thing?
The universities do have scholarships. Before 2017, Finland used to have free education free higher education for everybody. And then they started limiting the scholarships because the budget in education started to decrease. So now they have limited scholarships for some students who can't afford. It's provided through the university itself. You don't have to apply for it externally. So that's one way to do it, to apply through the university. Some universities offer 50% scholarship, 25% scholarship, 75, and maybe very, very few 100% scholarships at very few universities. That's one possibility. And then if you want to get some support for your living expenses, there are a few, also again, very limited foundations in Finland that you can look out for that provide grants. There are more grants for doctoral students than masters or bachelor students, but there is one that I had gotten. I'm putting it on chat. That's one foundation that gives out scholarships to women students. So in terms of scholarships, There are very limited available and they are very competitive, but it is possible to get scholarships through the universities and then through external foundations like the one that I just mentioned on chat.
Can the students do their part-time jobs while doing their studies, because they can't, so they are not so financially, as you said, the foundation, they can connect there, but they can they do some part-time jobs also while studying?
Absolutely, yes. They can do part-time jobs. A lot of students do, I mean, there are different kinds of jobs. So there are hourly paid jobs where you get, there are these apps where you get connected to somebody who's looking for somebody for babysitting, for example, or to watch their dog or to help the elderly people. So students do these kind of hourly paid jobs. They also work sometimes at the restaurants, but by the time they're a bit more experienced into their studies, they start looking for research assistant jobs or internships within the university itself. So there are limited internships and research assistant jobs also available, which you can do while you're studying. There are some limitations to how much you can work while you're studying. You can't be full-time employed while you're studying. You can only work for, it used to be 70 hours a week, but I think they have now extended to that you can work for 100 hours per week as a student while being in Finland. So it is possible. And there are summer jobs at restaurants, stores, in berry picking, these seasonal jobs that you can do. Also at universities, if they're running a summer course, then you can help them as an intern run summer courses. There are also internships at the national agencies. For example, the National Agency for Education takes about 2 interns every year. So they're not available in plenty. Limited students get them, but there is, most students do end up working while they're studying, yes.
Yes. Now,
Apoorwa,
Mm-hmm.
as I understand, agriculture may not be that evolved in Finland, but still,
Right.
I'd like to know if there are any possibilities of a collaborative research program or Indian students going for master's or PhD research in agriculture, particularly, if you are aware of.
There is one university that is collaborating with an Indian university, Indian Agricultural University in Dharwad in Maharashtra.
Mhm.
The university that's in Finland that's collaborating is called Tampere University, the one that I put on chat. And they're running a collaboration with an agricultural university in India where they're developing capacities of university teachers, basically capacities of university teaching staff. And maybe they are also planning some student exchange programs. I can look for the university that they collaborate with in India, but this also happens through the Nordic Center. So I can also put, like, the Nordic Center will be able to give you more information. Nordic Center in India.
Okay, you can find out another possibility later on for agriculture research, particularly, we'll be interested in. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. Hi, Milin. I can't hear you, at least. I don't know if everybody else can. Still not.
Can you hear me? No?
Yes, now, yeah.
So what are you doing now? What kind of work are you doing right now? Because you went there to pursue your master's, right? And after that, what
Yeah.
is your journey like? That is one question. Second, for people who are going from here, how long it takes to adjust, like socially, environmentally, what were your challenges, Finland, I assume that quite cold compared to India. So I would like to hear that. And then since you mentioned that you have special connection for Northeast, um, so what kind of connection can you do? Sorry?
Yeah, no, I was expecting you to talk about the Northeast, so go ahead.
Yes. So what kind of connection can we do? Or can you create a connection between Finland and Northeast and or any university in Northeast? For example, since you were mentioning about agriculture, some agriculture university in Jorhat is quite well known. Or how can we, I'm just trying to fin because my focus is Assam. So I'm trying to figure out how can you how can you take advantage of your love for Northeast and you being in Finland, and how could you do something about it? So that's how some questions.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with let's maybe start with the challenges, the social and cultural and environmental challenges that you face when you come here. So yeah, it's no cakewalk to move countries, and especially when you're coming from such a different cultural and environmental background that we have in India. So it's, of course, it's very cold. It goes to minus 30 degrees in the winter, but at the same time, it's also very dark. There are 3 or 4 months of almost complete darkness, that there's no sun. The daylight times are much shorter. So those things, of course, take a long time to adjust, at least a whole year, I would say. Then the next year, you know what to expect. The first year is hard because you don't know what to expect. But at the same time, it's not very hard to find friends for an international student, because everybody in your class comes from a very similar sort of a background. For them also, it's very new. They're also still adjusting. So it's very easy to connect with people and form these little communities. The only thing that is hard to connect with Finnish people, because Finnish people are known to be shy and not very they don't come across as the most friendly people in the first. That's the stereotype. Of course, there are all kinds of people. But yeah, these are some of the cultural challenges also that you face. And how do you keep that balance between, you want to be warm to people and nice and friendly, but at the same time, you don't want to intrude too much into their space. And everybody has a different idea of space, private space, right? So how do you ensure that you're not cutting across any boundaries, and at the same time being friendly? So these are some of the challenges that I think almost everybody faces when they come to Finland. But yeah, like I said, you find. So for me, in my second year, I found an internship at the university. At the same time, I found a part-time job in Belgium that I was doing remotely. So that's how you start forming connections around you that kind of lead you to also finding a job, because networking it really helps. It's all about networking when it comes to finding a job. What I do now is I work with the network that I mentioned. It's called the Global Innovation Network for Teaching and Learning. Also, I will write on chat. So we are basically a consortium of Finnish universities, which is coordinated by the university that I work for in Central Finland, University of Jyväskylä. And what we do is we find partners in India who work with school education or teacher education. Those are the kind of university partners that we're looking for. Universities or anyone who does research in school education. For example, we also have a collaboration with NCERT, the Delhi SCERT, the Kerala SCERT, and then Azim Premji University in Bangalore. These are the current partners that we have, and we are still open to more partners. We also partnered with state governments, but that connection has not worked very well, because state governments don't do so much research. So for them, we're able to do very light things like consultancy work, just like helping people out designing their curriculum, or whatever. Basically, if they need us to review any documents, that's what we can do, but we can't do any collaborative research with state governments. So that's why we decided to stick to universities and academic partners. So something collaborative can really come out of it. So if you know universities in the Northeast who are willing to be a part of this kind of a network and engage in joint research, we can definitely take the conversation forward. They have to be either a teacher education institution or have a strong base in educational research, like a strong foundation in educational research. So either they're preparing future teachers or doing strong educational research. Like, I don't know if you know that, like Azim Premji University, or like I think Delhi University also has teacher education programs. Yeah.
What about um, something to do with entrepreneurship, like teaching related entrepreneurship? For example, Northeast, as you know, it's very green. It has quite a lot of natural wealth, but quite often we do not value them, and quite often the people are moving out from Northeast for higher education, jobs, and stuff like that, rather than creating jobs here, right? Creating, being entrepreneurs. Their brain drain is happening and people are moving out. So instead of that, we'd love to have really, again, more research on, our research will be how to, you know, how to be entrepreneurs, whatever resources we have, right? And that is the thing I feel that we are lacking, in the education part, how to be entrepreneurs, you know. So is there anything like that in Finland or any universities where working on creating more entrepreneurs or studies related, you know?
Yes, there are. There are these universities of applied sciences that have degrees in or certificates or diplomas in entrepreneurship. So they prepare you to start your own organization or company. And these are long-term degrees or diplomas. But there are also, for example, for teachers, there are courses on how to inculcate entrepreneurial learning into your classrooms. So going beyond just teaching what you're teaching to your students, and but also inculcating entrepreneurial capacities in your students so they can come up with business ideas or initiatives that they can start in their own spaces wherever they are. So I can
Bachelor
send you
level,
some resources.
is it in bachelor level or master's level or PhD level?
The
Those,
teacher training programs are for school teachers.
okay.
And then these degree programs that I'm saying are for master level students.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
should look for organization or universities who are training, teacher training program maybe, or for school level or master's level, right?
Yeah, I gave you two different options. Like if somebody wants to study how to become an entrepreneur, they can apply for a master's degree in Finland in an entrepreneurship. That's one option for somebody to learn how to
Okay.
study to be an entrepreneur. The other option is that there are online programs, teacher training programs for school teachers. If you want to teach children early on, for example, even in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, there are a lot of entrepreneurial skills that teachers can build in children. Like how to take risks, how to come up with an idea, how to do teamwork. So it doesn't have to be you now come up with your business idea in first grade, but slowly building those entrepreneurial skills and slowly also building that inclination in students for how they can have an entrepreneurial knack. So those are the kind of things that are being talked about globally in education now. That jobs are constantly changing with artificial intelligence coming in. Like people have to learn how to be entrepreneurial. Otherwise, we can't predict the future. We don't know if what kind of jobs will be there in the future and if people will find jobs. So that's the sole responsibility of schools to prepare children to be entrepreneurial and to prepare them to learn how to learn.
Okay. And one last question. So what kind of visa are you in? Now, right now, in the US, quite often you study there, then you get H-1B visa, then there's a green card, then you can become a citizen. What is the process like Finland? Are you going to stay in Finland? Are you become a citizen in Finland? Or is there time limit? How long you can work there? How is it from the education visa to work permit visa to citizenship?
Yeah, it keeps changing based on the kind of government we get. I guess it's the same everywhere. But when you come to study, you get student visas for 2 years if your degree is 2 years, or as long as your degree is valid, and if you have adequate funds. They check if you have funds to stay for that long. So you can apply for 1 year at a time or 2 years at a time, depending on how many funds you have. So you get the student visa, but before your visa expires, then you can apply for a job seekers visa, which is also valid for either 1 year at a time or 2 years at a time, or even longer if you have enough funds. But if you already found a job, like I already found a job while I was studying, so I directly applied for an employment visa, not a job seeking visa, but an employment visa. The difference between a job seeking visa and an employment visa is that one is temporary, like the job seeking visa is a B type permit, which gives you very limited rights in Finland. If you have an employment, you get more rights. You almost get all the rights equivalent to a citizen. You get the right to healthcare. If you have children, you can educate them for free, etc., etc. Except that you don't get to vote, of course. So your visa will then last as long as your job is. But if you've lived here 4 years, then you can apply for a permanent residence permit, which I can apply for now. And the permanent residence permit needs to be renewed every 5 years or something like that. And then the condition is that you have to live at least half of the time in Finland, if not 100% of the time. And then, of course, some people apply for citizenship. Also, but citizenship has a lot of other requirements, like you have to know the language to a certain level, etc., etc. So for me, I think, I don't know, I think I will come back maybe another, because the network that I work for now is till the end of 2024. That's the network that I work for. So I think that would be maybe the end of my time in Finland, and I would continue to be associated, of course, because my research is still here. But yeah.
So we look forward to see you in Notice.
Of course.
All right, thank
Absolutely.
you. Great. Back to you, back to the host.
Thank you, Milindata sir, for your wonderful questions.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have anything in addition to add to the session from your side?
No, I think if anyone has any more questions, I'm happy to take, but I think we've already crossed the 45 minutes.
Yeah. So if there's no questions, then we can end the session here.
Sure.
Yes, thank you so much for giving us so much knowledge about Finland, and for the students and people who are planning for studying abroad or in Finland. They got many things to know.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you so much for joining in, Ajari. And thank you
Always.
everyone who have joined our session. And hope to see you all in our next session. Have a good evening, and Nam, you have a very good afternoon. And thank you for joining us.
Have a good evening yourself, Dharitri. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to join the sessions with Daneshwari.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a lovely